Rosa sat in the back corner of the conference room, quietly taking notes while her colleagues discussed the new marketing campaign. She had several good ideas about how to improve the project, but when she opened her mouth to speak, only a whisper came out. "What did you say, Rosa?" asked her manager, Mr. Thompson, leaning forward to try to hear her. Rosa felt her cheeks turn red with embarrassment. "Nothing important," she whispered, even more quietly than before. Rosa was 26 years old and worked as a marketing analyst at a mid-sized technology company. She had been with the company for 2 years and was known for producing excellent research and creative solutions. But there was one major problem. No one could hear her when she spoke. Rosa had always been a quiet person. As a child, teachers often asked her to speak louder during presentations. In college, she rarely participated in class discussions because her voice was so soft that even students sitting next to her could not hear her clearly. Now, in her professional life, Rosa's quiet voice was becoming a serious obstacle. She had brilliant ideas and insights, but when she tried to share them in meetings, people could not hear her. Colleagues often ignored her or asked her to repeat herself multiple times, which made Rosa feel even more self-conscious. After the meeting that morning, Rosa returned to her desk feeling frustrated and invisible. She had 3 specific suggestions that could have improved the marketing campaign, but she had not been able to share any of them because of her quiet voice. Rosa's colleague and friend Maria noticed her mood and came over to talk. "Rosa, you looked like you wanted to say something in the meeting," Maria said gently. "Did you have ideas about the campaign?" Rosa nodded and quietly explained her 3 suggestions to Maria. Maria's eyes widened with interest. "These ideas are fantastic," Maria exclaimed. "Why didn't you share them in the meeting?" "I tried," Rosa said softly, "but no one could hear me. I can't seem to make my voice loud enough." Maria sat down next to Rosa's desk. "Have you always had trouble with speaking loudly?" Rosa explained that she had been a quiet speaker her entire life. She was not sure if it was a physical problem or just a habit, but she felt like her voice got stuck in her throat whenever she tried to speak to a group. "Rosa, your ideas are too valuable to keep to yourself," Maria said. "Maybe you could practice speaking louder at home. Like exercises for your voice." Rosa had never thought about practicing her speaking voice like exercising. The idea seemed both hopeful and intimidating. That evening, Rosa decided to try Maria's suggestion. She stood in her bedroom in front of her mirror and attempted to speak at normal volume about her day. "Today I went to work and attended the marketing meeting," Rosa said to her reflection. But even alone in her room, Rosa's voice came out as barely more than a whisper. She realized that speaking quietly had become such a deep habit that she did not even know how to speak louder. Rosa decided to research voice exercises online. She found several websites about public speaking and voice projection that offered practical techniques. The first technique was called diaphragmatic breathing. Rosa learned that many quiet speakers breathe too shallowly, which limits their voice power. She practiced placing one hand on her chest and one hand on her stomach, then breathing deeply so that only her stomach hand moved. The second technique was vocal warm-ups. Rosa learned to practice making ah and ma sounds at different volumes, gradually increasing the sound until her voice felt stronger. The third technique was posture. Rosa discovered that standing or sitting up straight with her shoulders back helped her voice project more naturally. Rosa committed to practicing these exercises for 15 minutes every evening after work. At first, it felt strange and artificial to deliberately make her voice louder. But after a few days, Rosa started to notice that her voice felt stronger and more controlled. After 1 week of practice, Rosa decided to test her improved voice in a low-risk situation. During a small team meeting with just 3 other people, Rosa took a deep breath and made herself speak at what felt like a normal volume. I think we should consider surveying customers before finalizing the design, Rosa said clearly. Everyone heard her perfectly, and her colleague James immediately responded to her suggestion. Rosa felt a small thrill of success. Encouraged by this positive experience, Rosa continued her daily voice practice routine. She began reading newspaper articles aloud in her apartment, gradually increasing her volume and working on clear pronunciation. Rosa also started practicing speaking up in smaller situations at work. When ordering lunch with colleagues, she made herself speak clearly to the server. When answering phone calls, she focused on projecting her voice confidently. 2 weeks into her voice training, Rosa faced a bigger challenge. During a department meeting with 15 people, the discussion turned to budget allocation for marketing activities. Rosa had strong opinions about how the budget should be distributed, based on her analytical research. Rosa felt her old instinct to stay quiet, but she remembered Maria's words. Your ideas are too valuable to keep to yourself. Rosa took a deep breath, straightened her shoulders, and raised her hand. I have some data that might be relevant to this discussion, Rosa said, using all her practice techniques. Her voice was clear and audible. The room turned to look at her, and Mr. Thompson nodded encouragingly. Please share your insights, Rosa, he said. Rosa presented her budget analysis clearly and confidently. She spoke loud enough that everyone could hear her, and she noticed that people were taking notes on what she said. When she finished, several colleagues asked follow-up questions about her research. After the meeting, Mr. Thompson approached Rosa privately. Rosa, that was excellent analysis, he said. I've always known you do great work, but it's wonderful to hear you sharing your insights more clearly. I hope you'll continue to speak up in meetings. Rosa felt proud and accomplished, but she also realized that speaking up was still requiring significant effort and courage. She decided to keep practicing and gradually increase the frequency of her contributions. Over the following month, Rosa developed a system for speaking up in meetings. Before each meeting, She would prepare one or two key points she wanted to share. During the meeting, she would challenge herself to contribute at least once, using her voice projection techniques. Rosa's confidence grew with each successful interaction. She discovered that when she spoke clearly and loudly enough, people listened to her ideas with respect and interest. Her colleagues started asking for her opinions on projects, recognizing that she had valuable insights to offer. 3 months after Rosa started her voice training, something remarkable happened during a company-wide presentation. The executive team was discussing a major strategic decision, and Rosa realized she had important data that could influence their choice. Rosa had never spoken in front of the entire company. Before, there were over 60 people in the room. Her old instinct was to stay silent and maybe share her thoughts with her manager later. But Rosa thought about all the practice she had done and all the positive responses she had received when she shared her ideas clearly. She raised her hand. "Excuse me, I have some customer research data that relates to this decision," Rosa said, her voice carrying clearly across the large conference room. The CEO, whom Rosa had never spoken to before, looked directly at her. "Please share your findings, Rosa," the CEO said. Rosa stood up and presented her research confidently and clearly. She spoke loudly enough that everyone could hear her, and she maintained good eye contact with the audience. When she finished, the executive team asked several detailed questions about her methodology and conclusions. After the presentation, the CEO approached Rosa. "Rosa, your research is exactly what we needed to make this decision," the CEO said. "I'm impressed by both the quality of your analysis and the clarity of your presentation. Have you considered taking on more leadership responsibilities?" Rosa was amazed. 6 months ago, she could barely whisper in small team meetings. Now the CEO was suggesting that she might be ready for leadership roles. Over the following year, Rosa's career trajectory changed dramatically. Because she could now communicate her ideas effectively, her managers started giving her more visible projects and opportunities to present to clients. Rosa was promoted to senior marketing analyst and began leading her own project teams. She discovered that the same voice projection techniques that helped her speak up in meetings also made her an effective team leader and presenter. But Rosa's transformation went beyond just her professional life. As her confidence in speaking grew, she became more assertive in other areas of her life as well. She started participating in community organizations, volunteered to give presentations at industry conferences, and even joined a public speaking club to continue improving her skills. Rosa realized that her quiet voice had been holding her back in more ways than she had understood. When she could not communicate effectively, other people could not recognize her intelligence and capabilities. By learning to speak up, she had not changed who she was, she had simply allowed her true self to be seen and heard. Today, Rosa is a marketing director at her company, and frequently gives presentations to large audiences. She still practices her voice exercises regularly and continues to work on her public speaking skills. Rosa keeps a small note in her desk drawer that says, "Your voice matters." She wrote it during her early days of voice training as a reminder that her ideas and insights deserved to be heard. When new employees join her team, Rosa makes a point of encouraging them to share their thoughts and speak up in meetings. She especially looks out for quiet team members who might have valuable contributions, but struggle with speaking loudly or confidently. "I know it can be intimidating to speak up," Rosa tells them, "but your ideas are important and your voice deserves to be heard. Sometimes we just need to practice making sure others can hear us." Rosa's transformation from someone who whispered in meetings to someone who confidently leads presentations taught her that communication skills, like any other skills, can be developed with practice and persistence. The most important lesson Rosa learned was that having good ideas is not enough. You also need to be able to share those ideas effectively with others. When she found her voice, she found her power to make a real impact in her work and in her life.